Hey there everybody, welcome to True Fan Forum. I'm your host Jay, and in this video I want to talk a bit about Stormchasers Volume 1, published by Unstoppable Comics. Now if you're not familiar with the name, Unstoppable Comics is a small independent comic book publisher based in Brooklyn, New York, and I believe was started in 2008. Now Unstoppable Comics has a few different titles, most of which are placed in a shared universe called the Unstoppable Universe. So in addition to Stormchasers, you've got a superhero fantasy title called Shield the Interceptor, as well as a martial arts superhero title called Dragonstorm. Now I have to say, it's a pretty cool universe. It's a very well done universe, because it really tried to make it its own thing rather than just copy what's been done before. By that I mean it has its own history, its own special groups and races, and even its own special terminology. For example, there are people called activators who possess the ability to sort of unlock the unused portions of people's brains, granting those people superhuman abilities. And the people who have been granted such abilities are called, naturally enough, activated. You also have people called Dynavos, which stands for Dynamic Evolution. Basically, people who are born with their abilities. I guess it's like this universe's version of mutants. So again, I have to say, it's a pretty well thought out universe. It's a really cool concept, so I think they did a good job on that. Now, while I believe Unstoppable does mostly digital comics, I was able to get this trade of the first 4 issues of Stormchasers from a Kickstarter campaign. In addition to this, I backed a tier that gave me this physical and digital version of this trade, as well as my choice of any one of their other graphic novels, both physical and digital copy. And so I decided to go with this, the official character guide of the Unstoppable Universe, which is sort of like the, Marvel's handbook of the Marvel Universe, or DC's Who's Who. So this comic book is filled with all sorts of character profiles, giving their various characters biographies, their powers or abilities, and some other general information. Now I definitely love handbooks and source books, whatever you want to call it, because I feel it's a great way to learn both about specific characters and the sort of comic book universe in general. And I have to say, I am very pleased with this comic book. I think it really helped me understand the characters within Stormchasers and the Unstoppable universe as a whole. And it really helped broaden my appreciation for the Unstoppable comics, as well as really whet my interest in the comic books in general, and really made me want to go and look into the comic books and maybe get some digital versions of their other titles. So congratulations for making a very cool character guide. Now in addition to the comic books, I was also able to get these 2 trading cards, which were actually stretch goals that the campaign met. We've got Dr. Zero, who's like one of the main villains of the Stormchasers. And he's a pretty cool villain, nice cool concept for a costume. I also received this, a trading card of Dragonstorm, hero of his own title, Dragonstorm, and this is, I believe, Lillian, his student. So again, I wasn't looking for so I'm not really big, ooh wow, big on trading cards or bookmarks or any of those little perks. They're cool, but I'm honestly happy enough getting just physical versions of a particular comic. But again, these were cool. I'm glad I got them, and I'm glad they made enough money to be able to unlock those special perks. So congratulations for that. Now, before I go into the specifics of the plot or my feelings on the comic book, please allow me to tell you who created this comic book, so I can give credit where credit is most certainly due. Now, all issues of this comic book were written by J.D. Rosario, and there were 2 main illustrators on this comic book. Russ Leach did the artwork for chapters 1 and 3, which I guess they're calling the particular issues that make up this trade. And Andres Barrero did the artwork for chapters 2 and 4. Now, all coloring was done by Michael Summers, It was edited by Shamika Mitchell, lettered by Glenda Caceres. Cover art was done by Grande, and it was published by Richard Rodriguez. So again, I just want to congratulate everybody involved for making a pretty cool comic book, one that I certainly enjoyed. Now on to the plot. Now I'm not going to give you too much of an explanation of the plot because I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm going to give you just the broad strokes so you get a general idea of what's going on. Now, the Stormchasers are the premier superhero team of the Unstoppable Universe, from what I can tell. They're sort of like the Avengers, the Justice League. Now, they are a team created by and funded by the United Nations, and its cast and its roster is made up of superheroes from all over the world. Now, while the Stormchasers have been around for apparently quite a few decades and had various incarnations, this comic book focuses mostly on the exploits of the current lineup. And let's just say, folks, they're going through a bit of a rough patch. Now, again, without spoiling too much, in the beginning, the team squares off against various supervillains, causing these huge battles, lots of property damage, and while they manage to defeat the villains end up disappearing right under their noses. The team has no idea where the villains went, nobody saw what happened, and it's sort of an embarrassment. And it's of particular worry to, to this man, Tony Gordon, who acts as the head of the Stormchasers. Now, he's concerned for two reasons. One, he's worried that these big battles cause so much property damage and causes the team's insurance premiums to go so high that in the end, no insurance company will even cover them. Another concern is that because of the ever-mounting costs of running the team, and as well as, losing the villains they just beat, it's worried that the UN Security Council might decide to just shut down the Stormchasers entirely. So to prevent this from happening, Tony decides to recruit two former members of the Stormchasers to act as to help sort of get the team together and sort of help, tighten things up. So he calls in Star Striker and Crosscurrent to help sort of bring in, a veteran's perspective. Now, while most of the team is happy with the return of these two members, one guy isn't. His name is right here. His name is Dynasty, and he's the current field leader. Or at least he was until Star Striker returned and was given the duties of field leader. So yeah, he's not happy to be replaced, especially on such short notice. Now again, the comic book does go into how the villains disappeared and who's sort of behind everything, but I don't want to give things away. Let's just say it's a very interesting idea, which we get to meet a lot of different characters, and it's a very, very fast read. I mean, I was able to read this entire trade in one sitting. I just couldn't put it down once I started. And that, I think, is a really good compliment to the makers of this comic and to the comic book itself. So congratulations on creating a very fun read. Now on to what I felt of it. First off, I have to say I'm very impressed by the production quality of this comic book. It's very well done. Everything about it is very vibrant. The page quality, the quality of the actual paper is very nice. The pages feel good. They're not flimsy at all. The cover is a nice quality. It's firm, but not too firm. This is definitely on the same level of any big trade you're liable to find in, say, Barnes & Nobles or online. So kudos for making a very well done made comic book. Same thing with the character guide. Both are very well made. I have to say I received it promptly in the mail, which is cool, because I know so many campaigns tend to lag behind and be late. So congratulations for being prompt and delivering when you kind of said they would. And it actually came in very pristine condition. Look at this, folks. There's no bends, there's no folds. This is really well made. So the shipping was very, very cool. And now my feelings of the comic book specifically. Overall, I liked it. I thought it was a very cool thing. I love the character designs. I mean, that's what really drew my attention when I saw it on Kickstarter, especially the design for this guy, Star Striker. I saw him and I thought, wow, this guy looks cool. I wonder what this is. I went to the campaign and looked into it, and yeah, it has so many great ideas, so many cool character designs that I just love. Let me give you an example of one of my favorite characters. Show you. Ah, yes, this guy, Quetzalcoatl, who is apparently either the ancient Aztec god or somehow related to him. He's very cool design. I love winged humans. He's got some interesting powers. I mean, he does look different in the actual comic book, and I kind of wish they would have stuck with the look I just showed you. It would have been nice. Where is it? Sorry, folks. Yeah. I kind of wish this was in the comic book, but overall, cool design, eye-catching, Star Striker is one of my favorites. Dragonstorm looks cool. This guy is Interceptor, who is like the hero of S.H.I.E.L.D. the Interceptor. So a lot of really cool designs. Very, very neat. The artwork in general is pretty awesome. I mean, you got some really cool pages. Let me show you a couple of examples. You got this, for example. This is a really cool page. I love the character. I love the letter font for this guy when he's like in this huge form. It kind of gives you the idea that even though he's not shouting, he's just so big. It seems like his voice is going to be this huge thing, even though he's just probably speaking what he thinks is normal. Let me give you another example of artwork that I really enjoyed. Okay. Here's some more example. Here's another example of the artwork. This is, I believe, been done by Barreras. Yes, this was done by Andres Barrero. The previous picture was done by Russ Leach. And another example. Here's some more artwork from Mr. Leach. Again, I just love, the dynamic layout of the page. This fight scene. It's really cool. I love how they don't do standard panels. It really gives a cool, energetic look to the fight. Very well done. So again, the artwork is very, very neat. Now, personally, I have to say, I do kind of enjoy Mr. Barrero's work a little bit more. Just think about the way he draws, his line work, that just appeals to me. I mean, Russ Leach is okay, but I've got a few issues with his some of his style. For example, sometimes the faces look a little bit odd to me. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's an example of Cross Current. That facial expression looks kind of weird. Yeah, so again, I enjoy his style. He's got some, the battle scene is really cool, but yes, like I said, some of his facial features aren't the expressions just really aren't for me. But again, it's my own personal taste. I think Mr. Barrero does a cool job of doing all the faces and everything. Again, here's an example of Mr. Barrero's work. So again, both do well job. It's just based on my own taste. Both are pretty cool. The writing is pretty good, fast-paced story, cool characters. I do have one issue with the writing, is that the characters, their voices, the dialogue is very stiff, very, sort of kind of a little wooden. It feels like, in my mind, as I was reading a lot of the dialogue, my mind was kind of changing some of the dialogue to use more contractions, because a lot of these characters don't really use contractions a lot. So instead of saying, oh, I can't do that, they'll say, I cannot do that. It's okay, it just feels a little weird to me. Another thing about the dialogue I didn't like is that even though this group is international in scope and the members are all from various countries, they're all written in what I would describe as a very generic, a sort of American accent. I mean, there's really nothing that sort of helps show that they are from different parts of the country. Let me give you a couple examples. For example, Rockaway here, who, as you can see, has the ability to manipulate rock. Very cool name, and yeah, Rockaway. Now, he is from Jamaica, However, there's nothing in his dialogue that would suggest that he's from Jamaica. Not even just Amon. And another character, Dynasty, who I mentioned earlier, here he is actually from Myanmar and was raised in a monastery. Excuse me, he was raised in a monastery. But again, there's nothing in his dialogue that kind of suggests either he's from Myanmar or has the background of being raised in a monastery. It's just weird. I would have preferred something along the lines that kind of show that these are characters from all over the world. Now, I'm not saying it should be written like stereotypes, or whatever, but just something. Give me some idea of where they're from, in terms of their dialogue. That really helps, I guess, make the characters unique and really just shows just how wonderfully diverse they are. Look at characters like Gambit or Rogue or even The Thing. They all speak in unique ways that can tell you exactly where they're from. You read Gambit, and even though you could tell he's from, New Orleans because of the Cajun accent, his use of the French language. Rogue is obviously from the South because she'll use terms like or sugar or something like that. And The Thing, you can tell he's from a very, rough and tumble working class neighborhood, because of the way he speaks. So again, this dialogue, I think, really helps make the characters who they are. And I really wish it was a little bit more paid to making these characters sound unique and show their backgrounds a bit. Now, I know that's easier said than done, but I kind of feel like, yeah, you could look up, terms and common expressions from, the native countries of these characters and use that in their speech. Maybe look up videos, and maybe there's got to be videos on how, people from different parts of the world speak English, from like Jamaica, France, Germany, whatever. Come on. I mean, there's videos on everything else. So while it might seem nitpicky, I like the characters. I just wish there was, again, that vocal quality to show that this is an international team and these are, people from all over. So yeah, that's really just my only two nitpickies. The artwork in some points is a bit little rough for me in some points, and the dialogue could use some work. But otherwise, good artwork and good writing. Now, I do have also one other little nitpick. This is sort of like, I guess, like an editing or, production issue. Is I did notice on a couple pages, but only like 2 pages, you see here how the top of this word balloon is sort of cut off and are some of the letters. This happened in this page and a following page. Now, luckily it was only on these 2 pages, and it's a small little editing issue, but one I just noticed, and again, doesn't really hurt the comic book. Doesn't make me go, oh, this comic book is worthless. It's just a little issue that I just want to bring to people's attention, and maybe hopefully an issue that can be resolved in the future. But again, nothing really big, nothing that really makes me go, oh my gosh, this is a really poorly done comic book. These guys do a good job, and mistakes happen. I'm not going to judge them too harshly on it. So again, so this is a really good effort. So to sum everything up, I have to say that I really did enjoy Stormchasers. It's a fun comic. It's a fun series. I love the character designs. It's got a great story. I love the Unstoppable universe because it really feels like a really well thought out, full universe. And while I do have a few issues here and there, it's nothing that I think ruins my enjoyment of the comic book or makes me want to turn away from reading more about Stormchasers or any of the other Unstoppable comic book titles. So yeah, I would say, yeah, it was a fun read for me. I enjoy it, and I definitely want to further explore Unstoppable Comics, their other titles, and I certainly hope that they continue in the future. They've got a great thing going, and I really hope to see more of them. Now, if you want to experience Stormchasers or any of the other titles from Unstoppable Comics, please go to their website at www.unstoppablecomics.com. I'll try to leave a link in the description below. You can also look for them on Twitter and Facebook, all those social media goodness. So please, folks, now's the time where I ask you to tell me, what did you think of this video or just Stormchasers in general? Do you know this comic book? Do you not know it? What are your thoughts? Please leave some comments below and, like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, help this channel grow. And who knows, maybe tell more people about Stormchasers and Unstoppable Comics. Because I really feel like they're a small company that deserve attention, they deserve some recognition, and to be rewarded for the quality work they do. It's not perfect work, I'll admit that, but it's darn good work. So thank you everyone for watching my video, and I'll see you next time.